Hello and welcome to the channel. Take two. I recorded this entire episode and forgot to make sure that I had the audio on, so I'm sitting here talking over something that's not actually happening. But we're going to be watching the Destiny Confronts Boogie for Faking Cancer video. Talk a little bit about some of the stuff that happens. Other people have, I'm sure, I watched Asmongold's version of this, and he had some things to say about it, but I enjoyed the topic enough that I wanted to cover it myself and give my spin on it. So hopefully you guys get something new out of that, and so let's find out what's going on here.
Join video call. Oh my God, there's so many people.
Be sure to like the video, subscribe, do all those cool things with the algorithm, and also please leave me suggestions for videos that you would like to see me cover in the future so we can start building up a queue of videos to watch. I'd much rather do genuine React content than watching things beforehand.
Oh my God, hold on, we're turning the camera on.
But I can only do that if you guys give me content to do.
I have to delete it.
You guys literally ruined the intro. He gave you guys a big shout out.
Can you just shut the fuck up?
And then there's no chat out.
You're so negative.
It's just your voice, and it's fucking cringe.
Everything about...
There.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have a camera?
You know...
How are you guys doing tonight? What's going on?
Yeah, how's it going? We can see you. You guys look fantastic.
Turn it on.
I mean, some of you
Don't be so friendly.
Look at
there we are.
Hey,
oh
there
my
we go.
God, we're on.
There you go.
But not X.
Okay, we don't need him. Don't worry about him.
So the premise for this is that they're bringing Boogie on to confront him over these fake cancer, over this cancer thing that he's doing. They believe it's fake, and they're going to present him with a bunch of evidence as to why.
Boogie,
as to why they think so.
2488, you are being confronted tonight. I am 99% sure that you are faking.
No, don't move.
You are faking your cancer diagnosis, Boogie.
Okay, let's hear that.
Let's hear that.
Did the doctor ever tell you, or did he ever say the word cancer?
He said Polycythemia Vera, which is a form of cancer, as he explained it to me. And no, it is not secondary polycythemia, which is Nicholas Diorio's explanation for this bullshit.
So I think it is secondary
So the answer to the question is yes. Did he say cancer? The fact that he felt the need to expand upon the thing... indicator.
Polycythemia. Can you explain?
Well, why would he call it? Why would he call it Polycythemia Vera? Why would he tell me that I have hormone markers in my blood that tells me I have Polycythemia Vera? Why does he order a bone marrow biopsy to confirm it?
Well, if he ordered a bone marrow biopsy to confirm it, it would be weird that you told us that you already had a diagnosis and a confirmation. If it has been
the markers are in my blood, the hormone markers are in my blood.
Correct, but you said that you'd received a diagnosis, but now you just told me that you got a bone marrow biopsy to confirm.
It's a diagnosis, and now we're confirming.
Sure.
It's called a confirmation. The hormone markers are already in my blood.
Yep. So I think what happened is, Boogie, based on everything...
biopsy, because I'm wanting to do that, because I'm praying to God I don't fucking have cancer.
He doesn't care.
I'm praying to God I'm taking...
So his, you can look at his attitude and his body language and his defensiveness and see that it's another. There's no one thing here that makes that big that seals the deal. But anytime somebody starts getting emotional and starts raising their voice and starts becoming extremely defensive, it brings up that methinks thou doth protest too much argument, which is, you know, to compensate for the fact that you don't have a leg to stand on, you're just gonna talk louder and argue harder and all of that stuff, regardless of what the facts are. And
the 1 in a million fucking chance that they're fucking wrong, and that there's another reason that I have the hormone fucking imbalances in my blood.
Yeah, why are you praying to go?
This guy in the bottom left, in this bottom left corner here, several times throughout the video, loses his composure and starts laughing his ass off. And I have a problem with that, because if you're going to confront somebody about an issue that you find to be a problem, you should take it seriously, especially if it's something that's involving money. And I understand that, you know, he probably has an audience and he behaves a certain way in front of his audience, and that's fine. But I don't think that that's appropriate for a situation like this. That's my personal opinion. Obviously, it's my personal opinion. But this is something where, you know, allegedly, a lot of people got scammed out of their money over something, and it should be taken pretty seriously, in my opinion.
God, 2 years after you said that you have cancer, that you don't have cancer.
Because 2 years ago,
this guy needs some self-control.
They told me I have Polycythemia Vera based on the fact that I had increased red blood cell counts, increased hemoglobin, and the hormone markers in my blood, and it all spelled pretty definitively that I have this. And so he wanted to get a bone marrow biopsy, but it is intrusive and expensive, so they decided to forego it. I would like to still get it done because I am hopeful.
Okay, and I said this, I just said this in my previous attempt to record this video, but no doctor is going to do that. There is no doctor who is going to tell you that there is a procedure that could be done that will remove all doubt and tell you that this is absolutely confirmed. And there's this cancer treatment that we're going to give you, or there's this treatment that we're going to give you, and you need all this money for it, but we're not going to make sure we know for sure. They're going to recommend that you get it done. They're going to explain to you the procedure. They're going to explain to you that it's very expensive. They're going to explain to you a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, the doctor is not going to, of their own volition, say, we don't think you should get this because it's expensive. They're going to say, if you can get it, you should get it. So the way that he's framing this, that the doctor said that it was too expensive and they wanted to forego it because whatever this and that and the other thing, while it could potentially be true, I seriously doubt it. I've never met a doctor who was afraid of recommending a procedure, especially something expensive that would help out either the hospital or the insurance company or whatever like that. Like, one of the things that doctors are expected to do is make the hospital money, and he's not going to be shooting himself in the foot by recommending to his patient that he should not get an expensive procedure done.
I'm praying that there's a fucking merciful God of the world that would be willing to fucking let this be wrong, even though it most certainly is not.
So why are you talking about expensive cancer treatments if they don't even know if you have cancer? That nothing has been confirmed yet. It's been 2 years.
They're treating it, dipshit.
They're not. How are they
treating it for 2 fucking years?
How are they treating it, Boogie?
Blood test, blood thinners, bloodletting, medications. They're trying.
I said that in the last blood. I didn't realize until the last time I watched this that he said bloodletting. I didn't catch it the first time around because there's just a lot going on. Like bloodletting, I understand that the disease itself is supposed to be like an excess in red blood cell counts, but you're going to reduce volume because there's too many blood cells in the thing. I mean, maybe that's a thing. And if any of you who might know more about the disease, please leave some information in the comments about that so that the rest of us can be a little bit more filled in. But bloodletting sounds a lot like leeches from back in the day. It sounds weird, and it's natural for your face to kind of go, huh?
To get my weight down.
Yes.
I'm seeing the doctor every 3 fucking months. I'm doing blood tests every fucking month. We're doing it.
Yep.
So they don't know if you have cancer or not. So can I
hold
understand
my fucking hand?
Well, sure. So I can explain. So I can explain everything, right? So Boogie has a condition called polycythemia, which means there's an elevation in his
Polycythemia Vera.
No.
Polycythemia Vera.
You fat fuck. I want to hear the guy that actually knows something.
Polycythemia Vera.
Destiny,
He knows more about my fucking medical diagnosis than I do.
Gary, well,
go right the fuck ahead. I was in the fucking room. My girlfriend was in the fucking room. So go right the fuck ahead, Destiny. Go right the fuck ahead.
Be nice. Be nice,
Okay,
Boogie.
yeah, I will go ahead. Okay,
So
I think
I understand. I'm going to bring this up multiple times throughout the videos. This interaction here, the interactions between this guy and this guy right here, is not productive because of the way that this guy is handling the situation. I know there's a lot of people out there who probably find this amusing, and that's fine. You like what you like. But for anybody who's seriously paying attention to this stuff, every time this guy steps in and starts laughing maniacally the way that he does, no matter what comes out of his mouth after that, I personally have no interest in anything he has to say because he's clearly not taking the situation seriously. If it's a scam, that's fine. It's a scam. You should reveal that and uncover it, but still take it seriously. I mean, we're talking about scamming for cancer. They should be having a serious attitude towards this whole situation, and he does not.
He has polycythemia, which means he has an elevation of his red blood cells. Now, there is a cancer known as Polycythemia Vera, which is caused by a mutation in some part of your body that causes an elevation.
Let me be very clear. Is he wrong for what he's doing? No, he's free to be however he wants. It's just, in my opinion,
of 3 different levels of things you'll find. One of those is the red blood cell count. However, when Boogie was talking about the polycythemia, he mentioned a couple things that I thought were interesting. The first was that taking an exogenous hormone, TRT, testosterone, that caused a increase in him developing this condition. So taking testosterone will not cause you to develop a cancer. That doesn't, not for this particular cancer, it won't. It will cause you to develop secondary polycythemia. The second thing that he mentioned was that his doctor ordered a sleep study. That's because one of the things that can cause your body to produce more red blood cells is if you have hypoxemia, which is a lower count of, or a low amount of oxygen in your blood for an extended period of time. And the reason why he ordered that sleep study is probably because Boogie either had...
I think the word he was looking for is hypoxia. I mean, maybe hypoxemia is a condition, but hypoxia is the condition of having low oxygen. When I went through my pilot training, we learned a lot about that, because when you fly at high altitude for long periods of time and you're not inhaling enough oxygen to keep your blood oxygenated, you get hypoxic, you get hypoxia, and that's the condition. I don't know if that was a mispronunciation or if there's just another condition that I'm not aware of, but I believe the word he was looking for was hypoxia.
Has either pulmonary obstructive something, or he has, as he mentioned, sleep apnea. And sleep apnea, which is a decrease in oxygen overnight, can lead to a decrease in oxygen in your blood, which can lead to an increase in the production of red blood cells.
Either one of those conditions could be, either one of those conditions are more likely in this gentleman because of his clear weight issues. Being overweight is one of those things that is like a third rail in our society now. I don't know why, but being overweight makes you much more likely to have some kind of heart issues, be it cholesterol or just the amount of weight that you're carrying on your body makes it very difficult to get blood everywhere, and your heart has to work a lot harder. And also sleep apnea, from what I understand from the various sources and things that I've read over the years, and I'm just working off of my memory, but from what I remember and what I understand, sleep apnea is very prevalent in people who are overweight. So both of those conditions could be something that is contributing to his physical problems.
All of the things that Boogie described, both the things that cause this and the treatments for it, are consistent with secondary polycythemia. None of these are consistent with cancer, and the fact that he's saying that they've now ordered a biopsy 2 years after. Wait, 2 years after. Let me just finish real quick. Let me finish real quick. Real quick.
He's not done. He's not done.
Yeah. 2 years ago, you said that you had a cancer diagnosis, but now you've just said now they're doing a biopsy to check for cancer.
Confirmation.
And this is the part that this is like one of the biggest nails in the coffin for this whole thing, is just the fact that there's this 2-year gap between we have this diagnosis that we're giving you based off of this indicator that we have, and we have this test that we could do that would absolutely confirm it, and then there's a 2-year gap in there. And my thought process on that is that if I'm being told that I have cancer, one of the most serious diseases that exists in humanity and whatever, I'm not waiting 2 years. I'm going to do what I need to do to get a confirmation. If I have to take out loans, or if I have to raise money to get that stuff done, he certainly still has enough of a presence online to be able to raise the kind of money that he needs to, get whatever tests. Like, I can't imagine the test is so expensive that it takes 2 years to save up for it. And I'm sure that there are organizations out there that probably could have helped him out if he couldn't afford it. So the fact that it's been 2 years between, hey, I found out that I likely have cancer, and now we're going to get the biopsy done. I'm not saying that it's not the way it happened, but it's a big question mark.
Is this House MD? Are we treating a blood cancer without actually confirming it yet? For 2 years, you've been having a cancer.
I've already heard that joke twice now, so it's not as funny this time around.
Because
but that's funny.
My blood markers, and that's pretty goddamn definitive. You can Google that, Destiny. When you have the hormones, when you have the hormone in the blood that is produced by this cancer, it's pretty goddamn definitive. It doesn't show up for just the shit's sakes of it.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
Okay, but at the same time, we heard Destiny lay out the differences between the non-cancerous version and the cancerous version, and we know that the treatment for both is the same thing. So when the markers show up because of the overall condition. How do we know that it's actually the cancer version and not the other one? Like, the markers are the markers. The marker shows the condition that he has. I don't know. There's that's a question for me. I mean, maybe he needs to be a little bit more clear that it's the cancer markers and not just elevated blood
keep saying you're the
red
patient,
blood cell
you know
count
what
or whatever.
your body has.
Yes.
But when I go to the doctor, they give me shit like this, which is like papers.
Because I was going to say, Boogie can end this whole
Okay,
thing.
there-
Show me a
and-
single document with polycythemia vera on it. You don't have one.
Yeah.
I don't think the doctor ever diagnosed you with it. And
Can I ask you something, Destiny? Is it possible that when the doctor was seeing him, they were asking you could have polycythemia, if I'm saying it correctly, or polycythemia vera, but you don't have the cancer version. You have this version.
Correct.
There
So
is
polycythemia.
I'm asking him. I'm asking him. Is it? It could be.
So this guy here again. I'm already predisposed towards not wanting to hear what he has to say just because of his behavior during the thing. I'm trying to keep my focus on what he's saying and not what he's presented to me so far. His question is valid, but at the same time, my response to that is that I don't think there's a credible doctor anywhere who's going to let their patient walk out of the office and not know exactly what the situation is to the clearest possible detail, because they don't want to open themselves up to any kind of malpractice suit by not making sure that their patient was absolutely clear on what the situation is, what the recommended treatment is. Every like going above and beyond because of the way we are sue happy in the country in the United States. We sue at the drop of a hat. So if a doctor, one of the most liable people in the nation, is interacting with a patient in any way, he's going to do everything possible to make sure that he doesn't open himself up to anything. He's going to make sure that the patient is 100% clear on what's going on, what needs to happen, any of that stuff. So while it makes sense to ask that question to clear it up for the audience, at the same time, it's like, I think we all know that. I think we all know that that's the case. That's not really a question that needs to be asked. We all know.
Like a loss in translation type situation?
Yeah. So polycythemia just means you have an elevation of red blood cells. That's all it means. Your red blood cell count is high. And
so
I think
you can just be fat and sleep apnea can create
sleep apnea could do it. Yeah, anything. Yeah, like that could cause it. And the fact that Boogie said, we knew that when I was taking TRT, this was a risk of that. That means that risk is to develop secondary polycythemia. That was the risk, and then that is what ended up happening, unfortunately. But it's not cancer. That was induced because of just a low oxygenation of the blood.
So why? Explain to me, Destiny, why there are markers, hormone markers in my blood that have tested positively for polycythemia vera.
If there was, then he wouldn't have.
Look at one of your medical papers, dude.
Yeah,
I'm never showing any of these motherfuckers my medical papers. Go fuck yourself. I said that 2 years ago, and I'm standing by it now. Destiny, Jackson Clark, Keemstar, you can see it when I fucking die.
And I don't necessarily have a problem with somebody being uncomfortable with sharing their personal medical records with other people. That's reasonable. By itself, that's reasonable. The other solution could be to just have his doctor go on camera and say, hey, I have personally verified that he does have this condition. And, once you do that in a way that makes the doctor liable for problems if they're lying about it, especially for something that involves money, which this clearly has, that at least engenders a certain degree of trust. I can understand that he doesn't want to show his personal paperwork. My personal belief is he doesn't want to show the personal paperwork because there is no personal paperwork. But at the same time, if there was personal paperwork, I would be understanding as someone myself who is very suspicious or very hesitant to just share any kind of personal information with anybody outside of people I absolutely 100% trust. I can understand that attitude. I can understand where that attitude comes from. But when you add this to everything else in the argument that's going on here, it's just another in a line of things that provides circumstantial confirmation that he didn't. That there's nothing. There's nothing. He doesn't have anything.
I've given you every goddamn phone call. I've given you every fucking text. I've given you. It's never made a single goddamn thing better. I'm not gonna fucking do it. Go fuck yourselves.
You could easily end this right now by just showing.
I would rather you motherfuckers continue to LARP. I would rather you motherfuckers continue to LARP.
Okay, well, no, here's an easy question.
Goddamn thing. The last goddamn thing.
You're the one who accused of LARPing.
Fucking security I have in the fucking world.
So the easy thing here is if there are blood markers that definitively confirm polycythemia vera as a blood cancer, then why are they doing a biopsy?
Because I'm insisting on it. Because I'm
Drop the
hoping they're
microphone.
No, wait. Why would you have to insist on a biopsy if you can confirm with a with blood markers? It's because you can't.
Because I'm hoping that I are wrong.
If you're hoping they're wrong, then why 2 years ago were you talking about fighting?
See, the problem with that argument is that the doctor would not have even mentioned the biopsy option if it wasn't something that he thought would have been a better confirmation than just blood markers. The doctor wouldn't have brought it up as something that probably should have been done. It wouldn't even have been a question. He wouldn't have brought up any kind of bone marrow. Like, you know how painful digging into your bone is? Like, that's not something that somebody's gonna bring up unless it provides you with a good reason to do it. Now, obviously, there's medical malpractice and things like that. People trying to get unnecessary procedures and things like that. Obviously, there's going to be outliers, but for the most part, I think that the doctor would not have even brought up the biopsy as something that probably should have been done if it didn't provide a significantly increased verification factor outside of just the blood markers. That's just what makes sense to me.
Why would you be
I could
talking
be
about
wrong, but
been for 2 years.
fighting cancer? How? With what? With blood thinners?
Oh, this one's for you.
Because oh god damn it. Because you treat polycythemia vera almost identically to the way that you treat polycythemia, because you can't attack the cancer directly. All you can do is treat the symptoms, and the symptoms are identical to polycythemia because it's the same fucking thing, with the exception of one's getting caused by an external source and the other's being caused by fucking cancer. And in this case, it's getting caused by fucking cancer, Destiny.
So I do think there are different treatments available for polycythemia vera, and I think that the outcomes for that are significantly worse than just having it induced by some other thing like sleep apnea or hypoxia. But I mean, if you wanted to,
the treatment plan is pretty identical.
Yeah,
the treatment plan is pretty identical.
So if there are two huge things. So one, you could show it to a private party and they could confirm, somebody like Keemstar. But two, the issue is that if you want to keep your medical issues to yourself, I think everybody is entitled to that right, obviously. But if you're going to come out,
I should have never talked about it to begin with. I should have never talked about it to begin with.
Well, hold on. Hold on. Stop. Hold on.
And this is the crux of the issue. This is why it's such a big deal on the internet. And they're about to go into this because like I said, I've seen this a couple of times now. But where this becomes, we wouldn't be watching this video if money hadn't been involved. Once you start involving people's money in a problem, that's when it starts becoming a serious issue. That's when people start really paying attention to things. That's when people start getting really angry, even if it's not their money that's being involved, because nobody likes the idea that somebody's taking advantage of somebody in the first place, and really nobody likes it when their hard-earned money is being taken away from them by somebody who doesn't deserve it. So the fact that he's not willing to bend over backwards to prove to everybody that he has this problem is automatically going to make everybody really upset, because it's not just, oh man, I feel bad for you. It's, hey, you're getting money for this, and that's a problem. That's a problem if you don't actually have this condition. So something to keep in mind. As soon as you start adding money into the equation, everything changes.
Fund me was because they verify, for the record. They verify.
They verify?
So
that would be the third party that I would.
Yeah, so GoFundMe does not do the best verification, as has been proven multiple times in the past. But the issue is that you say that you shouldn't have talked about it, but the fact is that you did. You did the day that you got the diagnosis. You were like, well, I was considering doing this, but I just got my diagnosis today. So no, you weren't considering. You did it instantly.
I sat on it for a while.
Wait, on your tweet, did you not say that I got my diagnosis today and then talk about it?
They told me. Okay, they told me in the office that they were worried about it. Then they did the blood tests. Then, yes, I did tweet about it on the day that I got confirmation, but I sat on it for a couple of months before, or for a couple of weeks before talking about it, because it took a while for us to get the blood results.
So you sat on it when you didn't know the answer? That's not called sitting on it. That's just called waiting for an answer.
Okay, so I wanted to make sure I covered this again in this video. That, again, by itself, that's a nonsensical argument. If you are somebody who is going through, if you get news, especially if you're a public person and you have your life out in the public like Boogie does, if you go to the doctor and you're told that you might have some kind of a problem, there's a good chance that you are going to immediately go and say, hey, I went to the doctor and they think I might have this. I'd like some, I want your support and all of that kind of stuff. So tweeting out, especially in this world that we live in, where everybody puts their life out there on Twitter and all that stuff, anywhere, X or whatever it is you want to call it, that's a natural thing to do. If he waited from the time that he was told that he might have it to actually having a confirmation, in my mind, that's sufficient to say that he sat on it for a little bit, because that's some pretty life-shattering news to find out that you have cancer. Now, when you take it in conjunction with everything else, well, then you have to look at things in isolation and then put it all together, and it doesn't look good.
Also, if you were so keen on diagnosing whether you had cancer or not, why would you wait 2 years to get the biopsy?
That to me is the biggest issue, is that now he's trying to say that now he's getting a confirmation on it 2 years after he found out that he had the problem. You don't wait 2 years to confirm a cancer diagnosis. Nobody's going to do that. You're going to figure out how to get the test done. That's just what you're going to do. If cancer is a life and death situation, it's not like I have a flu or something. That this is a life-changing problem, and I need to change my life in a way that allows me to resolve this situation. You're not going to sit on a potential cancer thing for 2 years. You're going to figure out a way to get it done.
But I tend to tweet shit as it happens. This one I started
real time,
and that's a fair argument. That is a fair argument.
You're waiting. I don't understand why you wait 2 years.
Solid cancer diagnosis.
I tweet things as it happens is a fair argument, but in the context of everything else,
there's no proof of it. You can't show anybody proof of it because it's not real. And I don't know. As somebody that his mom had cancer, it's just a little bit gross, I feel like, when people are talking publicly about fighting cancer and stuff.
Who is the person that faked cancer before, the chick? You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Only had cancer once. Yahoo!
Yeah. That's a vintage meme.
No, that's
a vintage.
Wasn't it Emily from RuneScape or something?
There's so many people that don't know that meme right now.
Yeah.
Can I ask Boogie, is it possible
I don't know
that
that
you
meme.
just jumped the gun on releasing your...
There's a lot of memes that I don't know.
No.
You don't think you jumped the gun a little bit?
Anything is possible, sure.
I just don't understand why you won't just go grab a piece of paper and just disprove them.
Because I don't have
all these feelings.
He has nothing with those words on it.
Number two, and like I said a year ago, when these motherfuckers tried to get...
I don't have the printouts is not a sufficient argument. To be perfectly honest with you, if I had a diagnosis for something as crazy as cancer, I would be accumulating as much documentation as I can, so that whenever I have, because I'm not going to trust the medical system to make sure that the documentation that I need for insurance claims and all that other kind of stuff are available. I'm going to want to have that stuff in my possession so that I can bring it to whoever I need to bring it to prove that I have what I have. So to say that you don't have paperwork on that, either that's incredibly stupid, or he doesn't have the paperwork because he doesn't have the problem. I'm sorry.
Hold on.
This is the one last thing I have left. You motherfuckers were in my marriage. You guys were in everything else. You're in every aspect of my life. Fuck you. Let me have one goddamn.
Well, they're in every aspect of your life because you put every aspect of your life out there. They can't talk about your wife unless you advertise the fact that you have a wife. They can't talk about your problems unless you put your problems out there on the internet. As a content creator, you have the ability to gatekeep what access people have to your life. If you put it out there, it's fair game. That's just the way that it works. If you don't want people talking about your family, you don't talk about your family. If you don't want people talking about your wife, you don't talk about your wife. If you don't want people talking about your medical problems, you don't put your medical problems out there. That's just the way that it goes.
You're trying to tell me
tomorrow.
That's everybody.
Lead. Boogie lies about cancer than to hand this shit over to you pieces of shit. That's just.
This?
I'd rather do that. I'd rather do that. Go ahead, print it, Dexterdo. Go ahead and print it.
Can you get your patient portal up on your phone and like send it to Tommy?
I'm not going to.
He's never doing that. He does not have a cancer diagnosis. There is 0% chance that he has one. Remember, every leading thing for this cancer diagnosis the doctor talked about has to do with secondary polycythemia. The sleep apnea was a contributor to that, and the TRT was a contributor to that.
Except for the hormone markers in my blood.
But if you had hormone markers for it, that's either a definitive diagnosis, in which case you wouldn't be getting a biopsy 2 years later, or it wasn't definitive, and you would have gotten a biopsy 2 years later instead of saying they're treating you for cancer for 2 years. You just said before that you don't have the money for extra medical stuff. If they
the time between the diagnosis and this supposed confirmation is just ridiculous.
You know, if you heard of this, Destiny, I just got a bit of a windfall.
Ooh.
Might have heard about it.
Yeah,
we have.
Like I said,
crypto scam.
The windfall now is just a convenient explanation as to why he's doing it now instead of 2 years ago.
I want to join.
I mean, does he not have medical insurance? As somebody who made a lot of money over a long period of time on his channel, I understand he went through some financial problems, but at the same time, you can't tell me that he doesn't have medical insurance. He doesn't have medical insurance? Medical insurance is not covering cancer problems? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. Again, I'm not super informed on his condition and following on any of that stuff, but if he was able to go to the doctor to get it looked at, I have to imagine he has insurance, and I have to imagine his insurance would cover something like, you have cancer and we need to make sure.
You just got caught lying about me to Coffee.
Seems like a lot of effort to go through.
And now you're being confronted. And now you're being confronted on one of the biggest lies on internet history.
I can't take it seriously.
And you won't prove it?
No.
You won't prove it?
I'd rather you go ahead and print it.
If this is true, and you lied about cancer, this is the biggest scandal on the internet.
It's not, but go ahead and print it anyway.
Biggest scandal.
Go ahead.
And again, no matter whether it's true, like even if it was true that he had paperwork and all of that, I do want to point out something in human psychology that is important in this specific case and make it clear that I don't think it applies in this situation, but it is a thing. Pride, human pride is a real thing. And a lot of us do really stupid things for pride reasons because we're arrogant enough to think that the way we want things to be is all that matters. And how dare you ask me for proof? That the fact that I said it isn't like that kind of an attitude is a real thing. And it's, you know, it's within the realm of possibility that Boogie has paperwork that would prove it. And his pride and arrogance is preventing him from just settling it and giving the people what they want. But again, this is one aspect to the broad spectrum of different things that are going on here. I don't think that that's the case. I think that he doesn't have what could make this all go away. I don't think that. I think he is an extremely arrogant person, and that if it were the case that he had the paperwork, that he is the kind of person that would fall subject to that. But again, I don't think he actually has the paperwork because there's just too many things that circumstantially line up to make it seem like it's just a bunch of bull. It's just a bunch of BS.
Yeah. I pretty much prove it. None of you motherfuckers.
Fucking
I said this
prove
2
it.
years ago, and I'm not doing it today. Go right ahead. Print it. Print it the way it is. Go right ahead.
Print it. Run it.
I'm okay.
Okay, so I guess just to wrap up, because we don't want to take all you guys' time tonight.
Very
so just as a
busy
couple
people.
things, right? So the story as laid out, if you look up secondary polycythemia versus polycythemia vera, all of the leading things that Boogie talks about leading to his condition are consistent with secondary polycythemia, not the mutation that would cause polycythemia vera. The things that Boogie says that his doctor wants him to check for afterwards, like doing a sleep study, are consistent with secondary polycythemia, not primary polycythemia. And the fact that he says, I'm almost done. The fact that he says that he had the blood markers or something to confirm it 2 years ago, but is now getting a biopsy for secondary confirmation, even though he says he doesn't have the money for medical bills, but I guess now that he does have money, he's going to waste all of it on biopsying things that are already confirmed, or at least confirmed enough that he wanted to talk about it publicly for 2 years ago, and then use it to fundraise the money that he now has so that he can do the biopsy that I don't even think he's doing, by the way. I don't think he's actually doing that biopsy. I think that's a lie as well. And if you want...
So I agree with his line of reasoning in that, you know, you get the initial diagnosis. The part that I would have focused on is just the fact that if he's already receiving treatment for the problem, then why are we getting a diagnosis now, 2 years later? If he had the money for the treatment, why didn't he have the money for the thing that would confirm whether he needed the treatment? It all costs money. He's getting that money from somewhere. If he's already getting treatment for these problems, then he doesn't need this secondary diagnosis, because the diagnosis would, if it turned out to be no, it would have been a big waste of money in the first place. If I'm gonna have to spend the money anyway, I want to find out for sure. Like if the blood markers is not enough to reasonably start cancer treatments or whatever treatments it is that he's doing, that's supposed to be really expensive, then why are we waiting to figure out whether you truly need it or not? If the blood markers are enough, that should just be enough. What's the diagnosis?
Or
I mean, what's the biopsy
all he has
for?
to do is show a private party this particular medical thing, and yeah, and it would be.
That's also fraud. That's just fraud.
To summarize, Jesse, you're basically saying he's kind of unlucky he doesn't have cancer.
I mean, for this particular case, yeah. I mean, if you want, here, I'll do this. If Boogie can confirm that he has polycythemia vera, and he actually has like a doctor confirmation of the blood cancer, I'll throw $5,000 towards his medical treatment. I'll make that personal pledge right now.
Get 10,000. You're not seeing my medical records for 20, not for 50. You're not seeing my medical records.
$5,000.
I said
And all that does is just make him look more suspicious.
Just remember, okay, so then
All that does is make him look more suspicious. Like I said, pride can make you do really stupid things, but in conjunction with everything else, I don't think it's just pride. It's all of these things put together. in my mind, it's a pretty clear picture that there's nothing here.
When Boogie says, I have to do XYZ scam to raise money because my medical bills are hurting so much, he can speak publicly about his medical issues to scam his fans to raise money, but he can't take $5,000 to privately confirm a diagnosis that he already publicly said that he has. Doesn't make any sense, but okay.
Even I have a fucking limit. Even I have a fucking limit.
What's the limit, though? Yeah, I think
his pride. His pride. Well, I would say his pride, but realistically, it's that he doesn't have anything to show.
Scamming people with cancer, and it's like the worst of the worst. And you're getting confronted with that right now. When your response to that is "nuh-uh."
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm not going ahead. I'm just explaining to you.
Go right the fuck ahead.
I'm not.
I don't care.
I'm not going ahead with anything.
He's trying to. He's speaking to you.
No, I'm saying
I'm trying to explain to you why we're in this situation. Is just that people view this as one of the lowest things, right? It's about as bad as it gets.
You have Polycythemia Vera. Why aren't you just trying to disprove that, other than them making you look like you're
because 2 years ago, because 2 years ago, I'd rather that.
We've already talked. We've already covered
that. That's so stupid.
They're continuing to try to talk to him like they're going to change his mind. They're trying to appeal to his good nature or whatever. They know he's not going to change his mind. I mean, I guess maybe it's for the benefit of the audience. I don't know, but if he's the kind of person who's willing to scam over this kind of stuff, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. There's no give a shit.
Why leak the whole medical history, not just the confirmation?
Because I don't know. I have no idea.
All right. Well, hey, thanks a lot, guys. Cool. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks for
coming out.
So yeah, like many things, you can't ever just look at one thing and assume that there's a problem. When you start having thing after thing after thing after thing that builds up over the course of an argument or building a case against something, at some point the amount of circumstantial evidence that builds up it makes it very hard to it really removes any kind of reasonable doubt that something fishy is going on. I think that anybody who watches the argument here and listens to Boogie's responses to things, unless you are just a fan of his, you're probably pretty skeptical of anything that he's going on. And then, the reason why this is such a big deal is because it involves money. As soon as you start involving money, people start losing their minds over things because money's important, and that's just not something that's going to change. So I don't know. Obviously, everybody's going to make their own decision. This is an opinion. Me covering this is an opinion kind of thing, just kind of putting my 2 cents in on something, hoping that maybe you get something else out of it than you didn't get by just watching it by yourself. So if you did get something out of that, be sure to do all the cool YouTube metric stuff, liking, subscribing, all of that. And then be sure to leave a comment down below with video links to other content that you'd like to see if what I presented here actually kind of helped you at all. And so yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you then.